Hello, it's Gerald Peplow, and I'm done this video for Yucaipa and everybody else that's interested in Wildwood Park. Yesterday, they had a meeting at the convention center or at the community center, and about 100, 150 people were there, and we were discussing what's going to happen to Wildwood Park. Now, I wanted to make sure everybody heard about it because there was a lot of rumors, and they helped to stop a lot of rumors. And then there's some people who heard their questions weren't all answered. But here, this is it. I put it behind a pretty cool video of the park, so you can get an idea if you've never been there, and that means somebody in Alaska could check and see what Wildwood Park's about. But I just put this up just so you guys will all get a chance to see what was discussed. Now, I did not cut anything out but names and little murmurings that were just unintelligible. So everything is exactly as I heard it and everybody else heard it. So enjoy this video, but more importantly, just find out what's going on, because in about 2 years, they're going to designate Wildwood property as hopefully as a park to keep it safe. All right, so we'll talk about that later, but here you go.
Park and what it could be in the future. So we're pretty excited that our number was finally polled and we were able to get the support from our headquarters and everyone else to start this process.
Hi everyone. Hello. Loud person, loud mic, I'm sorry. I'm Terry Pope. I am the District Interpretive Chief for the Inland Empire District. So we're the folks that do the programming and interpretive panels and things like that. And I am just super excited to be here tonight as well, to hear your ideas and get your feedback on this exciting undertaking.
Good evening, I'm Stephanie Gutierrez and I am the District Administrative Chief, and as the team has said, I'm very excited to be here and support all of you guys as we go through the process together.
Good evening everyone, I'm David Block. I'm a planner at State Park headquarters. I'm here assisting the district, so thank you all for coming out to me.
Hi everyone, my name is Sienna Vasquez. I'm one of the environmental scientists for the district. I work in the Natural Resources Department, and my primary focus is invasive forest pests and fire projects for our district.
Hi everyone, I'm Logan Sherland. I work with David at headquarters in the Strategic Planning Division, and I'm also here supporting the district.
Hi, my name is Katie Petro. I'm the manager of our planning unit up in headquarters, and I'm really excited to see such a packed room. This is why we do public meetings. We want to hear from each and every one of you, so I'm very excited to get to know all of you.
And we'd also like to thank and welcome the Wildwood Canyon Friends Quarters, who have been helping us through the years to get this project going, and we're finally here. So thank you very much. And to introduce you to this beautiful property, we're going to show a short video. So in just a moment, we'll get started with that.
Nestled within the foothills of the San Bernardino Mountains in the city of Yucaipa lies Wildwood Canyon State Property. Acquired in 2003, this 839-acre state property is home to hundreds of species of wildlife and native plants, with over 9 historic ranch structures that stand as a living reminder of the region's rich cultural history.
Wildwood Canyon is steeped in history. Serrano people thrived here since time immemorial, harnessing the bounty of the land. Later, ranchers like James Waters, Lou Morris, and J.F. Newton left their mark. But it was the Hunt family who most significantly shaped Wildwood Canyon as we know today, building a homestead that offers us a glimpse into the past. Today we can explore the remnants of a bygone era, the Hunt Ranch, the old dairy farm, the historic Hyatt House, and more. Wildwood Canyon's interpretive programming can delve into topics such as ranching history, dairy and apple farming, and the significance of oak trees, both to the indigenous people and to the ecosystem. The Hyatt House, a mid-20th century ranch house, could be restored as a museum, offering visitors a first-hand look into the lives of those who once called Wildwood Canyon home.
Within Wildwood Canyon State Park properties is the historic 22-acre Hunt Ranch, which is home to a total of 9 buildings and several associated structures, including an extensive water irrigation system, cross-pipe pit, roads, fences, and other sparse associated artifacts. A historic structures report was done in 2013 for the area, which identified 2 buildings as being eligible for the California Register of Historical Places, the main barn and the hired hand quarters. These buildings were made sometime in the 1940s and were occupied by the Hunt family, who ranched dairy cattle and horses in the area. Known artifacts in the area include various antique farming equipment pieces, which are in poor condition and are deteriorating. These include an antique plow, mower, grader, and trucks, which are yet to be dated. These artifacts and structures should be preserved as they are representative of the agricultural beginnings of Yucaipa and are assets to interpreting the history of Wildwood Canyon.
Wildwood Canyon shelters a vibrant ecosystem where ancient oak woodlands and a variety of wildlife thrive under dedicated conservation efforts amidst the challenges of a changing climate.
The most notable vegetation here at Wildwood Canyon is the mature stand of coast live oaks. These can be found at the entrance of the park as well as throughout the canyon. Additionally, scrub oak and poison oak can be growing opportunistically in the woodland understory. As you head up to the Hunt Ranch, the landscape shifts to open fields populated by native and exotic grasses. Looking to the hillside, the vegetation again shifts to shimmy chaparral. In the spring, a variety of wildflowers can be found blooming throughout the park. Pincushion plants, sage, penstemon, and woolly sunflowers are some of the species observed. Different vegetation types and habitats allow wildwood to support a variety of animal species. Mammals such as mule deer, bobcats, and coyotes can be seen on a day-to-day basis. Preserving the native vegetation creates ideal habitat for species of special concern, such as Crotch's bumblebee, sharp-shinned hawks, and coast horned lizards. The Wildwood Canyon Ecological Enhancement Project is a land management initiative aimed at reducing the fuel buildup throughout the park. Implementation of this project will occur over several years and involve alternating treatments. This is a multi-benefit project designed to enhance the park's cultural, recreational, and natural resources, as well as safeguarding the surrounding community.
Since opening to the public, Wildwood Canyon has become a cherished destination for recreation enthusiasts, drawing hikers, horseback riders, and nature lovers alike with its expansive network of trails and historic structures.
This park wouldn't exist today without the efforts of the community. The Wildlands Conservancy and the Yucaipa Valley Conservancy paired up together to raise advocacy with the state to acquire this property. We also currently have the supporters of Wildwood Canyon State Park Foundation. They also continue this advocacy and they also fundraise. And they put on special events to connect people with the city to the park. They've been a great partner and that relationship has only grown stronger.
Wildwood Canyon is more than a landscape. It's a part of California's living heritage, offering a wealth of history, natural beauty, and a connection to the community. By embracing it within the California State Park system, we're advancing our mission to protect this unique blend of cultural landmarks, vibrant ecosystems, and outdoor spaces for high-quality recreation. In safeguarding its future, we are ensuring that generations of visitors can connect with Wildwood Canyon's landscape, history, and wild beauty.
Okay, we've had such a wonderful turnout. We didn't expect so many folks, so we have brought additional chairs. If you'd like to just take a moment and take a seat, that way you don't have to feel like you're missing anything part of the presentation. If you'd like those additional chairs up here. Come on, front row seats. VIP. You'll be first to get cookies. All right. Okay, no other takers? All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Superintendent John Rowe. He's going to explain a little bit of our classification process.
Before I begin, I know anytime the state does anything, people get scared of it. And we get that. This process that we're doing tonight, we're not making any changes whatsoever in the immediate future. We are just trying to identify what park unit this is going to be. There's no general plan that's going to put in new amenities. There's not going to be any operational changes. There's not going to be anything yet. This is just the stepping stone to get us to the next process after classification, which is a general plan. That's when we will craft a document that will allow or give us management directives based on community input, based upon CEQA, based upon a lot of different moving parts to either improve the facility, leave it as it is, develop it, who knows. So this tonight is just the stepping stone of classifying something called a state property. It's just a property. The reason it's important, go ahead and cue it here. The reason it's important to classify this park is because for 22 years, this is just a surplus property. Meaning at some point, there are certain things that when we acquired the property that safeguard it, but when the state looks at its inventory, it is not a state park. It's just a piece of property. Caltrans has pieces of property all over the state of California that sometimes come, sometimes go. So it's important to classify this so we can move on, develop the park to make it a traditional park unit. One other thing that's important on our end of things is because it's just a property, staffing-wise and staffing support, if we try to do what are called budget change proposals, it's just a surplus property. It's not a unit. So we have failed over the years to try to get consistent staffing and numbers to staff this. So on our end of things too, we'd really like it to proceed. The process of this, what we're going through, number one, it's set in law, it's codified in law in the Public Resources Code, that when the state acquires a piece of property to be part of the state park system, that one of the first things you have to do is identify it as an actual park and what kind of park it's going to be. So throughout the next 6 months, we're going to be identifying significant natural, cultural, and recreational resources. Now, we're not just starting from scratch. We've been doing this for 22 years in some capacity. In the video, there was some historical surveys that were done on the property itself and on some of the structures. So some of the homework has already been done already. We're going to define the vision and declaration of purpose. Just a fancy way of basically getting input from everybody and seeing what this park unit, what's the most appropriate type of classification for the unit. And I'm going to go over the types of classification options there are. Part of it also, evaluate natural, cultural, recreation, and interpretive opportunities. So interpretation, if you haven't heard that word, most of us think of interpretation as language interpretation. We're talking about the interpretive of natural and cultural resources. So it's a sense storytelling. It's telling what is relevant about the park, about the cultural history, and interpretation is a big part of California state parks. Not only do we want you to step foot on these magnificent parks, we want you to maybe take home something you didn't know about it as well. So hopefully you yourself will be an advocate of the park unit. We're going to develop the classification and name with your help. And then once the development and classification and name has arisen, we submit it to the director of our agency, and then it goes to the State Park and Rec Commission, which is a body, which is a governor-appointed commission that approves all of the planning when it comes to state park classifications. So that's our flow chart as far as what we're going to be doing. Self-explanatory, but the types and ranges of activities, I think most of you have been to Wildwood Canyon. There's not It's just shy of 900 acres. But it's in a very beautiful place where, as we look around the developing city, there's 20, 30 years from now, there's not going to be much of that left. So it's super important for us to really identify the most appropriate types of recreation in that area. For us, the trail system is really the paramount thing that already exists there. There's a great trail, multi-use trail system, allowing bicycling, hiking, and equestrian activities. Interpretive activities. Right now, we have some wayside interpretation here or there. They do a handful of programs every year with hikes. There's a couple hikes a year. Again, it's not a full-time state park unit right now, but at some point, we see more interpretive opportunities, maybe getting schools in there as well at some point. Recreation, for all the classifications, when we look at units, we have to look at all the things that are currently being allowed now and what other things could possibly be there in the future. And then other units, not so much Wildwood, there's overnight options. And again, nothing is decided today. Classification doesn't decide what the general plan will yield. But right now, it's just a day use park. It's open sunrise to sunset. So the types of classifications, there's all sorts of different types, and we can already check off certain ones that we know are not going to happen. And one of them is not listed on here. We know it's not going to be a state beach. Not anytime soon. I hope not. So we know it's not going to be a state beach. So we have listed the only ones that are plausible, the only ones that fit. Because there's also off-highway park units. It's not going to be an off-highway park unit. So state recreation area. Let me explain each one. State recreation area. One of our state recreation areas in our district is Lake Paris. It is, a lot of it's concrete. A lot of it's lawn trails. It is built for over 1 million people a year. It has the largest campground in the state park system of 431. It turns into a small city on Friday and Saturday nights. It is made for recreation. When you think about Lake Paris, most people think about jet skiing and hanging out on the beach or swimming. That's what that is for. This unit at Wildwood, it is not going to be a recreation area. It just doesn't meet the criteria for a recreation area. So we can scratch that off. Now the rest of them could be fair game. State parks. This is where the state can't really decide and go, it's got a good flow of everything. It's got some recreation, it's got some cultural, it's got some natural, but not one thing really stands out. So it's kind of a blended classification. It's just a state park. Not to say that's bad. So a state park near here is Chino Hills State Park. Does it have some cultural significance? Yes. Does it have recreation? Oh yeah. Lots of mountain bike trails, lots of hiking trails, equestrian. Does it have some historical? Yes. So it's kind of a blend of all of it. But there's some units, like Cal Citrus State Historic Park, which is a historical unit at the end. That one doesn't meet all of it. It was built to tell the history of citrus in California. So that's how Cal Citrus got its state historical park designation. So Wildwood, as we see it, could be, let me get into state reserves. State reserves preserve native ecological associations, geological features, scenic qualities, cultural resources, but it also allows for public enjoyment and education. So for Wildwood, these three are probably on the table if there's a compelling argument that the history of the park is greater than anything else, and we want to focus together and tell the story from a historical standpoint. Or through assessment and all the other process that we're talking about, maybe it is ultra sensitive from a cultural or a natural standpoint where it gives it a reserve classification. Or it's a blend of everything and it turns into Wildwood Canyon State Park. Now we cheated a little bit. It's not good advertisement to put a sign on Wildwood Canyon where everyone drives and it says Wildwood Canyon surplus property turned here. It's just, it doesn't flow good. And so we called it a state park originally because it just made sense from that standpoint. Not to say the sign's going to stay a state park, but from where we're at, the classification, it's a high option as being classified as a state park, but it could be any of those three. The map, I don't think we need to show the map too much, but well, actually, no, keep it there. So the beauty of this, if you haven't visited the park, is 22 years ago, a lot of this property was, developers had their eye on this property to expand. And through really grassroots effort, State Parks wasn't even involved in this initially. It was the community that planted the seed into some legislators, local legislators, to say, hey, we want this piece to be preserved in our backyard. And so we were told that, surprise, you guys got more property in your district. So, and when we went and visited, it is a very special place. It is a very cool park. I work at Lake Paris for the most part, and it's nice going out there and not being yelled at. For the most part, people are wave, and it's not because they want, need something. They're just waving to be friendly. So I really enjoy being up at Wildwood. During the video, you saw that we do have some historical items that are there. The Hunt Ranch is the most significant. It is a snapshot back into history, and again, all of this will be identified in the classification, and then later on during the general plan, which could be a year from now, could be 2 years from now. Again, we're going to have to get back in line for that process as well. But these definitely, right now, we've basically, we've been the victim of vandalism over and over again. You see it boarded up. We've taken things out of the structure to hold on and preserve the internals of those things. We've done some painting here and there, some lead abatement here and there, but for the most part, these structures, they'll all have to wait until general plan guides us on what to do with them long term. All right, that's it. Let's see. I'm going to pass it on. I don't know to who. To you. All right. And thank you for being here. A lot of friendly faces, the supporters. Love the energy, for sure.
Okay, so just to finish up this part of the presentation, just want to quickly go over these tables here. So after we have a quick session of questions and answers, we're going to have you guys come and visit us individually. We have different tables set up, so if you're really interested in what park facilities are coming up in the future, we'll have different tables here where you can put some ideas, what's important to you. You can learn a little bit more about what we have and what we might be looking forward into the future. So you'll be able to write down your notes, talk to our interpreters, talk to our environmental scientists, and let us know what your thoughts are and if you have any questions about the park. Now, is there anything that anybody would like to ask or talk about as the group as a whole? Are there any questions out there?
You want me to stand up?
Yes.
Okay. So,
I'm going to let you take the mic and then I'm going to run back.
Okay. So my question is, when it was stated that obviously we're just trying to classify the park, the classification essentially doesn't matter. I disagree with that. It would matter to guide you in writing the general plan. If it's deemed historic, that would definitely change how the park is used, where you can go in the park, the type of, if there's any recreation at all allowed at the park. I'm assuming then you would have to provide ADA access to those historic buildings. So that becomes another thing. So now you have a parking lot somewhere up there to make it ADA accessible, ADA pathways. So again, I'm not really sure why we think that the designation of the park doesn't matter in guiding the general plan. So I mean, I guess that's my question. If I'm wrong, then by all means.
What we're doing here today is we're just talking about naming and classification. Nothing is going to change with the park tomorrow. That's what the usage tomorrow. So, depending on the classification that you guys saw up there, yes, it may change on how we use the park. But be assured, the park is going to stay the same until this general plan gets put forth, and this is why we're here today, to get your guys' ideas on what's important.
Yeah, I don't, it's like I spoke, like, it's not important. That's not the case. You're right. The general plan will follow the classification as far as what the significant classification use is. The general plan will be catered towards that. So if it is a historical park, you'll see more historical themes. Not to say there can't be recreation in a historical park. At Cal Citrus, we have walking trails. They allow bicycling there. So it doesn't necessarily shut other things out, but the primary focus would be historical preservation, historical interpretation, preservations of the buildings. So yeah, it doesn't the classification is going to guide the general plan for the most part. So you're right. I'm sorry if I misspoke and said it's not important. It absolutely is important. So yeah.
So if it was left the way it is right now, what box would it fit in? When you talked about like a reserve or a state park or?
I mean, I think, yeah.
Hi, so I'm Katie Metro. I'm General Plan Manager. I manage the planning unit and our headquarters unit in Sacramento. We're working on several classification projects. We always come up with the same question. What does classification mean? If it's a state historic park versus a state park versus state recreation area? And what each one of those designations is, specifically in the Public Resources Code, gives the level of intensity of use, such as you saw with like the state recreation area, state vehicular recreation area, and then it goes from state recreation area for heavier intensity of use, and then state park is what we have more state parks and classified units than any other classification. That is your nice blend of almost everything that you could do in a state park in a state park unit. It has a less intensity of use, and then your state reserve, which is only a handful, like Antelope Poppy Natural Reserve, you know that one. Those properties are very, very few and far between because those look at preserving a specific type of species, like Antelope Valley poppies, as Calimesa State poppies. This is very interesting. I didn't know I was playing basketball. And then we have Tule Elk Reserve, which is for Tule Elk. So it's less likely, it's a classification we haven't used in over 40 years. So really you're looking at state historic park, state park. It could be a state recreation area. Those state recreation areas are less intensive use. It just gives you more options. But your state park is probably the one that you're most familiar with. And it does, like you alluded to, it does give you certain protections. We are here to protect resources, now every single resource. Cultural, natural, recreation, things like that. So just because we classify a park doesn't mean also that we're going to get money. So general plans may or may not. We have park units that have been around since that David's working on, have been around since the 60s that still don't have a general plan. But we can, once a unit is classified, we can go into other things that may help speed up the process to get needed facilities or trails without having a general plan. So that's another thing. Don't think that a general plan has to be accomplished either. So I just wanted to give you a little bit more background on that. Thank you.
I have lived on what's now the park property since 1971. Some of the farm equipment you saw in there was used by my father. He was in business with Vernon Hunt, and he did almost all of the farming in that area and in other areas in Yucaipa. So my question is, why are we here? In 2003, I went to a dedication. I have a shirt on right here that was given to me that says Wildwood Canyon State Park. I was also one of the people that spent 13 years trying to fight a developer from turning that into 460 homes, because that's what it was slated for. So I'm very confused as to why we're here. I thought this battle had already been fought. The head of state parks was at that dedication. Ruth Cope was her name. Gary Watt was the district superintendent at that time, and there was a general plan. And that general plan, never, not one thing on that plan ever has happened. There's also 3 historical homes. 2 of them are Hunt homes. One is the McCullough family home. The McCullough family were the original builders of it, but that property was sold 3 times. And when the development was, when they were starting to, the EIR came out for the development, that property belonged to the Porter family. So I don't know if all of your historical facts are correct. I have 2 documents that were written by someone who grew up on that property, and there's pictures, and so some of the things that you're saying aren't true. Also, some of your websites that I've looked at, you list Wildwood as a state park. For Inland Empire State Parks, Wildwood Canyon is listed as a state park. So when did the designation change, and why did it change, and why weren't we informed? Also, all 3 of those homes on that property were move-in ready. They were all occupied at the time that the state took over that property. And since then, the state parks has totally neglected everything in that park. And as a result, the homes are totally destroyed on the inside and out. There's been no maintenance done. There's 3 gentlemen here that do most of the maintenance in the park because we never see maintenance up there. There's no presence there. My house is right on the road. You can't believe what goes on there at night. Many bad things go on at night. We've been left just to deal with this ourselves because state parks has failed on all levels as far as us being residents, and I believe it failed us as taxpayers. Those homes could have been protected. We were promised they'd be protected. There was supposed to be major ranger quarters at the Hunt house. Maintenance was supposed to be occupied in the McCullough house. And the other home is also a Hunt home, was going to be for another state employee. And none of that ever happened. And as a result, those homes are destroyed. It's going to cost millions to repair them. So my question is, why is this not a state park when everything says it is?
So I'm very happy to answer questions from a statewide level, but I've also worked with districts too. So reason why we're classifying this unit now is so we may have called it a state park in the past. A lot of times that just kind of creeps up on us. We generally allow public to utilize a property even if it hasn't been classified, but this particular classification process allows us to get money to do things like restore homes and fix things. It also allows us to get money. We can't secure staffing or spend money on long-term investments without a classification. So it's taken this long. Unfortunately, we have 16 other units in the state park system that do not have a classification yet, and we're trying to get through. We're doing 3 of them this year. So I understand, the frustration, but this is a positive thing. This is going to help us get to where you want to be. So I am very happy that you guys are here. I'm very happy for hearing, what you just talked about, and I want you to come and talk more about it. I'm really excited to hear more about the history of the property, and we're also really excited to hear about what activities you're interested in. Those activities and specifically are really what's going to help us understand what kind of classification that's going to be.
I also want to say, let's not forget, this is a classification and naming process. We've not been around.
College, and my question, I'm glad we were talking about activities, because my question is specific to that. What brought me to this evening meeting was the survey posted online, and the survey made me very concerned, but I think a lot of people in this room don't even know the survey exists. So I was hoping for more clarification about the survey, because on the list of activities was hunting, camping, etc. And that's what brought me to this room ready to fight, but I don't want to fight, I just want clarification. So can you please explain the survey that's posted on the park website and how it's going to be distributed? Because I know a lot of people who find Wildwood very dear to them don't even know that this survey exists, and so their input is probably the most valuable since it'll directly impact them. And so it's important that we know about that survey and we understand. I'm guessing that it's fairly standardized. That's why it has a list like hunting and camping on that. But I can imagine a lot of people are going to be impassioned when they read that and get very angry. So we would love clarification about that survey.
So we're going to have David come up here, but yes, you're correct. And also part of the activities today, we have some tablets and we have some paper surveys. So the folks that are here today can do them if they haven't done it yet as far as today goes.
Yeah, so as far as the surveys, some of those activities on there are specific to those classifications that we mentioned up there, particularly hunting, which is a lot of state recreation areas like they have at Lake Paris. And those are basically just to ask what people may like to see at Wildwood Canyon. It's not suggesting that we're going to do any of those activities. It's basically just to get a feel for whether or not people want more recreation focused, like a state recreation area, or more resource focused, like a state reserve or somewhere in between like a state park.
The park is something that is our biggest treasure. I think it's one of probably the best state parks. I mean, of course, we're biased, but in the whole area. I just want to invite everybody who hasn't been there. The Trails and Open Space have a Take a Hike in July 12th, which is the second Saturday of the month. We start staging at 7:30 and we start hiking at 8. And we'll be hiking the oak areas. And if you haven't been there, this would be a good opportunity for you to hike it and come and see it. Saturday, the 12th of July.
Thank you. Make two-part question. The first part is, has tribal consultation started? And if it has, what tribes have consulted?
Terry is our tribal liaison. She'd be the best person to answer that. I know, I recognize that face.
So hi, so yes, tribal consultation is underway. We have reached out to all the tribes that have any kind of cultural or traditional interest in the area. We have 2 tribes that we are in active consultation with. That's Agua Caliente and Yucaipa of Samuel Nation. So we had one meeting last week. We're having one tomorrow with the second of those groups, and they're going to take some information, especially on the naming and cultural use of the area, back to their tribal councils for discussion. We also sent the flyer for this meeting to the tribes that were on the contact list as well. So, does that answer your question?
So again, that's a good question to ask. We're not only asking the neighbors of Wildwood, the Yucaipa community, the people who have ancestral tie to the community, but we're also asking the tribes that have an ancestral tie to this park. So this is important because we want to hear from you, but there are other voices, and we want to hear them all. Next question.
Yes, I have a question about the classification. If it does be considered a historical site, are the equestrians going to be pushed out? Because this is one of the only areas that the equestrian people can actually go to that's relatively safe, even though there's no actual stop sign at the road. But what's going to happen? Are the bikes going to be excluded? Is equestrians going to be excluded? How would that work as far as the classification goes?
So I'll let Katie answer that, but the answer is that we'll still have recreation. It's just going to change on the intensity of it.
We do have equestrian uses in the state.
I've been in Yucaipa only 36 years. I know there's a lot of people who've been here a lot longer. I've used the park as long as I've been here. And I think you guys can see, we're not trying to shoot the messenger here. We get you guys, have your job to do. But to have a turnout like this, what that I'm sure communicates to all of you is this community really cares about that park. Yeah. And we care about what happens to it. And I love all the information you shared with us, and I appreciate that. But we're here because we want to know, we want our voices heard. We want to know how our voices are going to be heard and what we need to do to ensure that the park doesn't become something that eliminates the equestrian community, that eliminates the bikes and eliminates all that. We don't want to see that. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm overstepping here. But that's not what we want. And this is our park, so to speak, and we're happy to share it with people throughout the state and everything else. But you're saying lots of input. That's great. What happens to it? Because I can stand here, we can all come here, and we can all say this, and we can fill out those surveys. But if they go in the circular file, and the state just decides, hey, we're going to do whatever we want, we don't want that. So there's a lot of active people in here that want to know, what can we do? How can we steer the classification of this park so that we can control how it gets used? I don't want the state making that decision for my community because I don't trust them. So,
And we actually want to
Well, we invited you all here to get those comments in writing. And so beyond the discussion, this is the time. Like we take every single comment seriously. And I don't know if you've seen, we have email addresses. You can submit paragraphs of your life story in there. If you want to see something, you want to hear it. Like, save those historic structures. What are we going to focus our time, effort, and money on? Which of those things have the most historic value? Which trails are those that need the most repair and maintenance? Which oak trees do we need to monitor on a regular basis to make sure that they survive? We're all there for that. So please know that and take the opportunity to get all your thoughts written down, and if these little tiny Post-its aren't big enough, which I know they're probably not, please take the time to email in. We have the QR codes for the survey. I'm sure you can write down more than just the check boxes. So we're all in this together. So don't feel that it's us against them, because now is the time. We're spending a whole lot of money to get you guys in this room to hear what you want, and that's what we're doing.
I'd like to end on one. This is important. I know, but this is important.
Can you wait just a minute?
Thank you, Ray, for going out and taking care of that park for us.
Property and Classification. Ron is here, so if you'd like to join. All the other Wildwood folks, friends are here, so if you want additional information on how to volunteer, they can definitely help you out. We're going to take this last question, and then we're going to break out. That's not going to be the last time you get to ask questions. We'll all be standing at these tables if you want to talk to anybody individually.
Okay, I'm a newly elected member on the board for the supporters. I was on it many years ago, I'm back. I'm disconcerted. I came in here with a certain attitude tonight. I'll probably be off the board after tonight. I'm disturbed because you have people here, a lot more people than I expected, and I'm really glad. But they don't want to fill out a paper. They don't want to do a post-it note. They want to voice their opinions. And they're very valid opinions. I've heard some that are a little off the wall. I've been fielding stuff on Facebook since this first notice came out. And a lot of misconceptions and a lot of fears. But there have been a few things that you guys have said tonight that did nothing to assuage those fears. It was like, oops, I can't believe they just said that. I'm a little unnerved by it. I want to see this park protected and kept just like it is, and I get that that's probably what's going to happen. But you need to let these people talk, and I don't mean writing stuff down. Sorry.
Yes.